Hi, this is Rolf from Tesla Owners US, and now I have to say something about the bulk messaging of last week and how it got communicated as well, because I think it could have been made better, and I'll tell you that after this intro.
I pressed and say,
that was supposed to be a good message, and for me it was a good message, but it was really torn apart from those enemies of Tesla's or those opponents of Tesla's who just looked for the weak point in the message. And they found it. They found the weak points, what I communicated. And the weak points was Tesla is closing the stores, Tesla has to fire again people, and so on. But that was not the base idea. The base idea was to communicate why they were capable to achieve in all cars a better price point. And the reason they tried to explain why we could achieve a better price point. So that is the thing with the weak points. So I'm doing over 40 years karate, and I'm an instructor in karate, and I really don't like that if people are showing me their weak points, because that is where I'm gonna punch, or that is where you get to get punched. So when you are showing weakness, your opponents are be there, especially if those ones try to short your stock, and a half of the stock is being shorted from Tesla. And they were looking for just to make it weak and to finally pay off the shares where they're betting against you. And that's why the message didn't come over that good. What was the good in that message was the cars got cheaper. Finally, everybody was waiting for their $35,000 Model 3, and the Model 3 was presented, and everybody was expecting there's a big show about that. So we're going to show some cars for that. We're going to show some future people who reserved these cars and give them a voice, and they were happy to get this car. But instead of that, you were waiting for a website, and they said, oh, gonna figure it out for yourself what we changed. That could have been presented really great. And just with a couple of words, and that was enough. And why would be the people interested about how to achieve that? Technically, that probably was not a possibility to lower the battery price, the components, some of the labor work, or cutting something down. You don't have to tell the people that I'm gonna cancel their commission of my salespeople. The salespeople had a certain base salary. And after the sales base salary, they also got accredited the cars what they sold. And after 3 months, at the end of the quarter, they had a certain amount of cars what they should get accredited for. And then after this were the owners or the owner advocates or the owner advisors. And then after that, if they sold more than that allotted number, then they got about approximately $4,000 for that. And that would have been quite a bit up on the salary. Some of the stores also didn't have the real traffic of that. And this is the normal thing. If there are stores, they are not being busy, don't have traffic, you just cut them down and said, hey, I'm gonna keep them loose, I'm gonna sell that store, I'm gonna quit the lease on that store. And there are stores in pretty high lease rates. And if you cut those ones, you might end up to be $5,000 cheaper for every car, which is the amount what it got reduced. Okay, on some of the cars, on the performance cars, they were a little bit overpriced, but it should be, because hey, how do you get a performance car for this price, beating everybody else on the market, where they are, or beating cars on the market which are $500,000 or $1 million? So that's why they were high priced. Now the performance cars are now on the level what it really cost. They want to allow now everybody to be competing with combustion engine cars from all of their competitors. And now finally they reached that point, and then everybody wasn't happy either, or many people. But that weak point must be avoided in the future. You're not telling your weak points when you're addressing a good message. Internet sales. Internet sales is an important point. The important point from internet sales is that Tesla is fighting with many states here, fighting against the car dealer lobby, who are lobbying their politicians in the state, and then they are creating the laws for those people who are sponsoring them. Tesla does not sponsor the people from the states in order to become a governor, become a representative, and so on. They are sponsoring their people in the states, and they have a lot of money. And they want to sponsor those people who are writing the laws according to the will how they want it. So Tesla has to fight against many states. For example, Teslas are not allowed in New Mexico, Texas, Connecticut, Michigan, and there are also other many states. And why internet sell? Internet itself, people, it's easy to buy a car or to buy anything over the internet. Do a couple of clicks, commit to that, sign your papers, sign your documents for that, digital as well. But the other point is constitutional law, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 3. Because my son is a lawyer, and I had to ask him for some question about that. And the question is that the Congress shall have all the power to regulate commerce within foreign nations, among several states or with tribes. And that's a constitutional law. So if you are hampering with the sales of an internet sale between commerce, between states, you are going against the Constitution. And that will become very difficult for the car dealers, because they only want to support some of the states and their state representative, and that way they don't get a handle on that. And the US Supreme Court had in many interpretations have given practically all hands free of having all the power in trade of any kind. And that was the message which should come through. That's why internet sale is also important. Sales and commerce between states, and when you sell through the internet, you only have to apply the tax in that state where it's been sold to, or the corresponding country, city tax, or whatever applies to that. So, if you ask me, these states should not even get the sales tax for that, because they are the ones who are not even permitting to sell those cars in the state. But that's my personal opinion. That was about internet sale. You don't have to tell people that you are closing some stores or opening another store or changing the focus of your salespeople to become more delivery people or as helping in the service center. And the other way, what also people do not understand here in the US, that when you have a car dealer, he is selling you a car, he is servicing the car, he is delivering you a car, he is the all-in-one shop. But that's different with Tesla, because there are stores and galleries. You can look at the cars, maybe you can test drive them, sometimes you can even get pricing information for them, not in all states, also not permitted. But the delivery and service centers, this is another branch of them, and it's another building. And now people get the impression, oh, wait a second, they are closing the stores. Where should I buy them? And the message of internet sale is just getting dropped. And that should have been emphasized. That was missed. Everybody was thinking that there's a big presentation for that one, and someone is going in front of a camera, even when it's only would be 2 minutes, and said, we have finally the car for you. Go and buy and order it now. That's what should have been communicated to the folks. And now after that press conference, after that where you only inviting a selected set of people, they just tore you apart. They just tore the people apart and just poking on those things, what they want to communicate and not what you want to communicate or what Tesla wanted to communicate. So that did not go good. And I'm really a little bit mad about that, because that was such a good message that really turns bad. Okay, there was another thing. I congratulate JB, because he got the exact right timing. On February 28th, he converted 15,000 share options into stock and sold the stock. That was a transaction about $42 million. Pretty cool. Actually, this is public record, and that was a pretty cool deal. He just got it right, because if he would have done it 2 days later, should have lost about 10% of that. Very good. That was a very good timing, and excellent timing actually. What I would wish that even when the salespeople are not getting commission anymore, that they can still sell. But also what I would wish is that at least a small portion of your referral program comes back, and that you get a small or a tiny thing for that when you want to have your neighbor driving your car, or when you want to promote the car and the awesome cars what you get to your neighbors or to your friends, and they finally buy a Tesla as well. So that, I think, should be reconsidered and should be rewarded, because now it's really getting difficult to get a drive for that and to help, and it's kind of losing the overall message of that. Okay, now another topic. Why he is getting his Model S earlier, or why is he getting his Model 3 earlier than I'm getting, and why are the delivery times so different? That is because Tesla changed their planning strategies for their cars. It's really even called in that software package planning strategies, because the planning strategies was starting from the beginning a make to order. So you're configuring your car, and with these options, that's what you're getting delivered. At a certain point of time, you get your VIN number assigned, and then this is the car what you get and what is getting delivered to you, and you will be paying the car what you have ordered, and the VIN number would be what has been assigned to you. That has changed with the Model 3. Because now, also in old times, there were some stockable types, because those cars being done on a virtual customer, be it like what the service centers or the stores where you're producing cars on stock for test driving or for loaners. And then later you could acquire the test-driven cars or the loaners, sometimes even for a better price. But with the Model 3, they completely changed. Model 3, you only have pre-configured cars, stockable types. And now they have a little bit more of options, whereby some of the options are probably software-wise adjustable, like turning autopilot on, advanced autopilot on, full autonomous system on, and all of these guys. And what I really think also is from the mid-range to reduce it to standard range or standard range plus, where you're looking at the miles 220 exact, 240 exact. This is not a limited amount of batteries. That is actually a software reduced version of that mid-range. What probably happened with the mid-range, they wanted to build a standard range, and astonishingly they came out with a package that did already 264 miles and said, wow, 264 miles, that should be a standard range. We can sell it as a mid-range. And that's what they did, and sold it as a mid-range at fully charged. Now, there's now a 240 and a 220, which I'm guessing is, I just have to read out that battery information. Let me get to that battery information to read that out. And then I can tell you if it's a reduced or not, because I want to see what's the full package of that. And that was most likely a reduced range. And that's, I said it in one of those videos before, what is the simplest option for that? If you want to have a standard range, just reduce the mid-range and sell it like that, and even offer the customers you can buy a range plus or a full range later on. And that's what they did. Pretty good marketing. So, and now what is about those stockable types? Now we have a little bit more stockable types. But when the ordering was given free for Europe, the versions got collected about how people want to have their cars, with the interior, the exterior, and the wheels. And at the time when they collected those versions, then they extrapolated about, okay, this is about Europe and how they want to have their cars. So, and then they sent a couple of more cars towards Europe as well, through the boats. And then when they open it all for everybody, and everybody had their orders being opened, and people could now open and buy cars, even when they have ordered it way later, then they noticed that some of the configurable stockable types were already being sold out, and some of them were still left over because they didn't match of the percentage of how many red ones, how many white ones, how many blue ones, how many black ones, how many gray ones, and so on. And that message, that the ratio of these ones run out in some of the colors or in some of the configurations, but some of them they had more. So then people who ordered that, at the time of the order of the customer was matched with what was in stock, and it's called type matching. For the type matching, then you could say, is it a 100% match, or it's a 95% match, or a 90% match? And you could even offer the customer, hey, we might not have a white interior, but we have for the blue one a black interior, or a black interior. Do you want to have that? You can offer that as well to the customer now. But those ones who insisted on just that configuration, what they have ordered, and if that configuration ran out, they had to be reshipped over from Europe or overseas, and sometimes maybe even rebuilt that version. And then you are getting a significant longer lead time to these cars which are being shipped as to those cars who are probably already in Europe and just need to be shipped from the Netherlands to Germany, Switzerland, and so on. So that's why so different lead times could line up, especially when the shipments are from overseas. After a while, you know about how some procedures are running in that company, and if you worked with the same software package, and even ask the people when you receive the first car what software package you have and how you do that, and they freely give that information to you, then this is the result, what you can figure the rest of the pieces of the puzzle of what had happened. Yeah, this was all for today. Hey, please, the next time, get the good message over and smile on the bad messages, and do not give open flank to all of those people for the bad messages. Tesla can do that better. And what I want to say, the message was a good message. It was not a bad message, because now more people can afford to buy electric cars. So if you like that, thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and give you more information the next time. Bye-bye.
I pressed and say